Hello, team. Sorry about my barnet. I got my hair cut this afternoon, and they, for some reason, like to blow dry my hair like Johnny Bravo. Um, I don't know why, but anyway, it is what it is. I'll wash it tonight. I wanted to just, first of all, say that I'm getting a bit excited and nervous for the Euros. Da, 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 da. Euros. Da, 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 da. I'm getting excited for the Euros, and I'm getting a bit nervous because I've just watched back a few England tournament performances, namely Euro 2020 final, which I was at Wembley for. Don't know why I put myself through watching it back, to be honest. And also the England versus France at the World Cup 2022, where we did play well and we were denied like random refereeing decisions. And I'm not one to like rest on excuses, but I really do think that was we underachieved there, and it wasn't really our fault. Poor old Kane. Don't want to put the blame at his door either. So I wanted to talk about something that hit me this morning, something that struck me. I've just got my note here. And my note is Southgate is about to define his entire tenure as manager with this tournament. And that I just suddenly realised this, right? Because it's almost like we don't really know as a nation how to make our mind up about Gareth Southgate. We don't know if to say, oh, he's underachieved with an incredible generation of talent, or if to say he's changed the culture, revolutionised everything about the England team, and taken us further than we had been in the previous 50 years. And wow, what an achievement! And this generation is no better than the golden generation, probably a little bit worse. I'm probably slightly in the latter camp. I think you could argue now this year that our forward players are probably better than the golden generation as a collective. I'm not saying like specific players are better than like Alan Shearer or Rooney or anything like that. I'm not saying that, although Alan Shearer wasn't really golden generation anyway. But I am saying that as a collective, you've got Harry Kane, who's just broken his own records in Bundesliga, had the best season of his life. Bellingham, Player of the Year in La Liga. Foden, Player of the Year in the Prem. I think Kane might have been Player of the Year in Bundesliga actually as well. Anyway, and then you got Saka, who had a blinder for Arsenal. You've got Palmer, Player of the Year for Chelsea, I think. You got Rice. I just kind of feel like that is such a solid forward group that this is probably the first time you could be like, okay, now is the time to deliver. Although the defence is pretty shaky. And I feel like when people look back, because I kind of feel like Gareth will be gone after this tournament, win or lose. If he wins, he'll obviously stay. But let's say hypothetically he's gone. People would look back and everything that came before this point would be coloured by this tournament. Because World Cup 2022 in Qatar is kind of like, oh, we don't really know what side that really put stock in, like, because we did play well, so maybe that is a positive tournament for Southgate's legacy. But then we are out of the quarterfinals, which feels like same old. Euro 2020 was that? Yes, we played unbelievable, got to the final, could have even won it, scored first. But is that because it was just a home tournament essentially? We played every game but one at Wembley. So there's always these like, yes, we've done better than the last 50 years, but there's always these caveats with Southgate. And like, I don't know, this tournament defines where we're all going to settle. It defines Gareth Southgate's entire legacy with England. Because let's say we go and win it, right? Then all those tournaments and the near miss in 2020 and the defensive strategy in 2018 and the kind of disappointment of 2022, give or take decisions and all that. All that then makes sense because that is then like, oh, well, he's building up to something. Nice one, brilliant. Thanks for coming, Gareth. If we crash out, let's say we play horrendously, group stage or round of 16, crash out like the old days, you're going to look back, people are going to look back at the Gareth Southgate tenure and they're going to say that kind of lucky thing, like, oh, we were lucky in 2018, really easy draw, easy route to the semis. It was a home tournament in 2020 and we had another easy route. And Qatar, we went out at the quarters, which is what all we used to do anyway. So, and that would colour it that way. And I actually think, like, both arguments in both scenarios would be justified. Like, you could say, actually, we've crashed out. Looking back, it kind of makes sense why we did well in those particular moments. And yeah, maybe he wasn't great for the job. Like, you could honestly say that. You could never deny the culture changes, but yeah. And if we kind of have another, like, reasonable performance, like we're talking quarter-final, brilliant performance, unlucky to lose, or semi-final, regardless of performance, then you'll look back and you'll be like, probably a little bit of an underachievement. Like, you look back and you'll be like, oh, yeah. He probably kind of took it as far as he could tactically and feels like maybe the last 4 years were a bit of a waste. Do you know what I'm saying? It feels like if Southgate hypothetically wasn't the manager now, I don't think as a nation we would have a very good perspective on his legacy. I think we'd kind of be a bit like, oh, well, we had some of the best performances of our lives, but what, could he have done better? Or now he did the overachieved. I don't think we'd know. And this tournament is going to decide it. And that is fascinating. It's also a little bit scary because I like the man. I like Gareth, but it is also fascinating. So yeah, I was just watching those France highlights from 2022, and we did play well. And it was exciting to look back at the highlights and see our attacking talent really taking it to a big team. Because especially in this loss to Iceland, you can easily forget that when we're pushing and we're 100% intensity, how electric we can be. And also, it's easy to forget, like, our 2 wins against Italy in the qualifiers. Like, we're going into this with the tidal narrative of, like, oh, we don't beat big teams. You can never count Italy out of a tournament, and people would say that about this tournament. And yet we really took it to them in the qualifying games, beat them once at Wembley, once on their patch. Brilliant performances, and it's easy to forget that in the aftermath of that Iceland game. And so I'm just so excited to see what a Rice, probably Trent, Foden, Bellingham, Saka, Kane front, like, what is it, 6 is going to be like in the big games. I'm talking the big games. I'm talking we get out of the group and we're probably going to play, who is it? Is it Germany again? There's some big team that we're possibly going to face in the next round. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Southgate today. I'm going to come back tomorrow with a prediction of the entire tournament. We're going to go through one by one. And I'm going to come back after that with England starting 11, thoughts on the opening game, possibly if I film it after the opening game. Thanks for coming, guys. Euros.